Sean, the Shedeur Sanders news that happened where it was brought up that he is coming off as arrogant in these pre-draft meetings. That news about Shedeur Sanders is a smokescreen. I think it's a smokescreen because one of the things, and we talked about this on Sunday, that Jonathan Jones had reported that it came off as if certain teams he was far more engaged than others. You don't want, if you're Shedeur Sanders and DeLeone Sanders, you do not want to place yourself in this position where even if you tell a team, do not draft me, that they will still feel enticed to draft you. You have to leave no doubt in this situation. You have to convince them not to do it. I don't know what teams, it wasn't identified at coming out of the combine. No, the teams that he had bad interviews with was not identified. We'll probably never know. But I think that this is a deliberate action that is being done because they want to be able to manipulate the location in which he lands in. Because on top of this, the one thing that if you ask anybody who knows about Shedeur Sanders and if they have any character background on him, they all say he's a great leader. They all say he is a great young man. So that's a little confusing to me that all of a sudden he is an ass. Like all of a sudden he doesn't care and he's coming off like he's too high and mighty for this process. This is extremely deliberate.
Yeah, this kind of set the sports Twitter on fire a little bit. A lot of weird narratives starting about, how the NFL would want with the smokescreen. How the NFL doesn't want a confident young black quarterback. They've never seen this type of guy before. It's always somebody coming out of the projects that's just so great. Like all this narrative stuff is weird because Shedeur Sanders, there's outside of his playing film, right? We got tons of that. We've got more non-playing film of Shedeur Sanders than we've had of any other prospect maybe ever. The Sanders family has had a production company always on camera, always on film. Go through, scan it, look through, wade through it all, wade through the documentaries, wade through the season, all of it. He's always on camera. At some point, you would think maybe there's a Spencer Rattler situation from high school where he kind of looks like a dickhead. Nope. He just kind of looks like and acts like Shedeur Sanders the whole time.
This is a very good point.
Yeah.
This is a very good point. But like, are we?
You have film of him and his character the whole route.
I know that like in a way they are able to control what gets out there because a lot of it is produced. I believe DeLeone Sanders one of his other sons has a role in the production of all this.
DeLeone Sanders Jr.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what my guess was going to be. They have final say probably on the Amazon documentary because it's the only way that you agree upon it. It's just like with Hard Knocks where there still is some sort of way to manipulate if certain things come up that are negative or not. But you bring up the important part here. The camera has never been on a prospect coming out more than Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
I can't, except for maybe Travis Hunter. There are constant looks into shit. We got a shot of him when he was in New York for the Heisman ceremony when he wasn't even a Heisman finalist of him throwing the football on the streets of Manhattan.
Yeah.
They find this dude doing anything. At the combine, he's walking. He's got loser 50-year-olds running up to him to take a picture. The most uncomfortable thing ever. I don't know if you saw that clip of him walking with the backpack with all the NFL hats on it. I don't think you saw it.
I think I missed that one.
Okay. So he had a Browns hat and like a bunch of hats that were like clipped onto his backpack and he was walking and everyone's like, oh, look, he's got the Browns hat on him.
Sure.
Like, what does that mean? But there were a bunch of goobers that were running up to him to try and get a video of him and he's just trying to get to his meeting. But my point is that there's so much attention that goes to this kid. You'd think that we would have a Spencer Rattler clip. We would have a clip of him where Spencer Rattler, and that was brought up last cycle where, he was an ass. He was. There was footage of him in a documentary. None of this has happened with Shedeur Sanders. I'm not buying this. This is total smokescreen BS. It is part of the process. Teams give information to their sources and they go with it. They vet the process because they want things to play out in their manner.
Of course. It's the wrong guy to do it with. You got to do this with guys that are under-scouted, that are under, like, that are
scrutinized.
Not, under-scrutinized, not under the microscope, not always in the light. This guy was born in the light. Are you kidding me? Yeah, if something would have been unearthed, or I'm sure there's plenty that's been left on the cutting room floor, a fight with dad or something like that. It just says, it's not a good look. Fine. Mm-hmm. That happens. It doesn't all have to be, but he's giving you more access than you could ask for. If someone was doing this about Cam Ward, sure. He was buried at an FCS school, Incarnate Word, for 2 years, then went to Wazoo, and then ends up at Miami. I'm sure there was plenty to get buried there. There's plenty of sources and teammates. Former FCS teammate didn't like this about so-and-so. You got the wrong guy you're trying to smoke screen with. These teams should just nut the hell up. If you want them this bad to try to start this narrative and make NFL Twitter this nasty, these teams just might as well just trade off the picks and go get them. Make the trade. Stop just mixing it up to mix it up.
I also find it really weird that there's like a big number of analysts that have put out their mock drafts where he's projected to fall out of the first round. Like that to me, if he goes out of the top 15, like that's fine. That's totally plausible because again, it's a deliberate action to try and to pick where you end up landing and where you end up getting picked.
Yeah.
Him going out of the first round seems like a little over.
I don't think he goes out of the top 15. We
no.
saw Bo Nix go in the top 15. And people before, the week before, were sitting here like, is he a first rounder? No.
Right.
These teams draft day, when those quarterback lights start flashing in their brain, you see one guy go, it flips a different trigger, and it's time. It's now I got to go get my guy.
I said this. I said this yesterday on the recurring spot I do on Cleveland radio, where I don't think we're even going to have the situation where you pan over to Shedeur Sanders and he looks really frustrated and upset if he falls a little bit. Mm-hmm. This is on purpose. Like I do not think that this is a situation where we didn't prepare well enough or the interviews didn't go the way that we wanted them to. Blah blah blah. All of those things. This is a tactile decision that is going and happening and occurring in a deliberate process. The other thing, too, that I can't get behind, I feel like I see people that are trying to push like, hey, Jackson Dart could pass him. That we've lost the plot. We like seriously, like if you're willing to buy into that statement, you need to just take a step back, take a deep breath, and go watch some highlights of the two of them, and please tell me that you can take that take seriously.
You don't even want them watching like full film, just the highlights.
Most fans don't know how to watch full film, so no, I'm not. If you're an analyst, I implore you, go watch an extra game for each guy and see if you can actually don't let the whole character thing like, oh yeah, I didn't hear anything about Jackson Dart in these interviews. I didn't hear anything. I'd love to know how he shows up on a whiteboard because he's coming out of an offense that he didn't have to. It is a very simple offense, right. That Lane Kiffin offense, and it has constantly brought up the Ole Miss quarterbacks and their ability to make decisions is always a concern.
Here's the thing: those Jackson Dart highlights, Lane makes it look good when it looks good. When a play is drawn well, it just looks good. It looks like how football should look. So that has duped me in the past. I refuse to be duped again. Matt Corral, that saga where I was seeing his beautiful mechanics.
That one was a weird one. I can't believe we really talked ourselves into that one.
Yeah, I think he had some stuff that was undisclosed some mental stuff that he takes some time off from the game.
Yeah.
That was a bit surprising. But yeah, I'm not getting duped by Lane or Ole Miss anymore. I refuse. I'm not doing it this upcoming football season. Oh, another suggestion. Jalen Milroe to the Giants. He won't need an O-line. See, that fixes two birds, one stone right there.
Actually, well, you know what I did? One of the things that was kind of talked about when I was in Indy, I think more NFL teams are much higher on Jalen Milroe than people realize. Is he all over the place? Absolutely. Are they doing the Anthony Richardson bit? Hey, this kid is so much more athletic than every other option, and his ceiling is incredibly high. Yes, they're doing that bit. So Jalen Milroe being the third quarterback actually picked somewhere in the second round, I think is a lot more likely than people realize.
I would be steamed up for Jalen Milroe in an NFL uniform, backup role. Let's see what you could do eventually. But the God talk about Jalen Milroe during the season, I couldn't put up with. And the top three talk, he might round out at
he
the
was
top.
Looking like he would be a lock to be a top 5 pick because the first half of the season
it was
awesome.
Good. He was kicking the hell out of Kennesaw. He was doing a lot of great things.
What do you mean the Georgia game? Are we going to the Georgia game was the greatest game that he's ever played, and that was tape. That was like real, oh my God, this guy is an athlete who's making great decisions, who's got a bigger arm than people realize. The ball placement was great in that game.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you've got South Carolina, you've got Tennessee, you've got the Michigan game in the bowl game. What else was there?
Oklahoma game.
The Oklahoma game was really bad.
That was damning.
Yeah, no, it was a string of a lot of bad games. But that one high, just like Anthony Richardson, that one high is enough to get everybody all locked in. It's like when you see a girl out, like one time you see her, she looks great. And every other time.
Damn.
Yeah, every single time that like you see her the next 4 times out, you're like, man, should I ask for her number? I can't tell if she actually looks that good.
Yeah, it's having the girlfriend group, and then you go over she looking a little different? Does she do something? Anybody got her number? What am I doing? Is this a play or is this not a play?
You spend all the time to the girlfriend group. You're just like gassing up that like, oh, you really want to like get to know her. You want to take her out on a date and stuff like that. Yeah. And she hears about it, and then you show up the next time to hang out with the group, and you're like, oh shit, I'm in too deep.
You're in the Joe Bluth. I've made a mistake. I've made a crucial mistake. That's tough.
This is how quarterbacks are evaluated.
You know what? Honestly, I doubt we're the first people to put our heads together about a quarterback and come to that same realization of makeup versus no makeup.